Good. Anybody else have a good weekend? No? Worked? Good weekend? What'd you do?
Started Axel weekend.
Nice. How'd it go?
Pretty good.
Good.
18 of them.
Jeez. That sounds like fun. Anybody else? Good weekend?
I didn't have to work this weekend.
Didn't have to work. That's a victory. Didn't make any money, but didn't have to work, right? Okay. Cool. Good. It was nice. Nice weather. And it's supposed to rain today, which we need. And I think it'll be cold again. Cool. Are we excited about this? Shit makes me laugh because all y'all look like uncomfortable. Okay. Which is a good thing. All right. So a little extra heavy today. It's not too long though, but I'm going to run you through some things, and it has to do with this week's assignment, kind of, sort of, right? But really, it's about you guys. By you guys, I mean everybody. Me, anyone. We all have some issues, and I'm going to show them to you. And some of you are going to be like, I don't have these. Yeah, you do. You have some of them. Now, you might not see them for a little bit. You might not get it at first, but one of them will hit you between the eyes. You'll be like, oh, that's me. Okay? So let's figure out what the heck we're talking about. Okay? You know that fire's hot, ice is cold, and if you're at a football game and you see your mom in a crowd, you can pick her face out. Right? But what's 15 times 15? Anyway, you say 1,000? Anybody? 225. Okay? Who's still working on it? All right? Takes a minute. Rosa? Okay. All right. How about today's date? 24th. All right, good. Some of you still confused? It's like, I don't know. It's on my phone. Bro, I'm not going to look. All right. Should I invest in subprime mortgages? Okay. The second one's harder, right? We can get there, but it takes us a minute. The problem is your brain takes the shortcut whenever possible because we are inherently lazy. We're all lazy, all right? When do you do your papers? Last minute. Yeah, we'll see, okay? What the problem is, we rely, so these are instinctive, okay? If you touch ice, you see ice, you know it's cold. That's instinctive, all right? You're trying to figure out 15 times 15, it takes a minute. You can figure it out. You pull out your phone, maybe you do it by hand, okay? You can figure it out, it just takes a minute. The problem is, we make associative decisions, the harder ones, with instinctive decisions, which is not necessarily good. We'll get into why, okay? A cognitive bias refers to a systematic error in the thinking process. Such biases are connected to a heuristic, which is just a mental shortcut. Heuristics allow one to make an inference without extensive deliberation or reflect judgment, given they are essentially schemas for solutions. They're shortcuts. Humans are irrational. If you don't believe me, date somebody. Male, female, I don't care. All right, pick a side. All right. We make decisions on emotions, not objective data. Especially in the last 2 years, which is hard, okay? So we're going to run through a bunch of biases, and we'll see where you fit, okay? Some of you have a bunch of them, all right? Anchoring bias. If you sit down, who wants a job soon? Who wants to graduate, get a job, and make money? Everybody? Okay, so this applies to everyone. If you sit down at a job interview and it's going well, and you're like, they're going to offer me a job, and you want to make $100,000 a year. Sound good? We're good with that? And they offer you $50,000. Are you going to negotiate it up to 100?
Probably not.
No, you're not. You're just not. You might get 55. Maybe even get 60. That's okay. You're not going to get it to 100. The first piece of data sets the baseline, okay? Now, believe it or not, judges in this country are actually very good at being pretty fair and impartial, right? So they did an experiment, right? And they gave these judges some dice. They were 12-sided die. And they were loaded, which meant they usually came up with a higher number, like 10, 11, 12, every time they rolled it. So they give these judges these dice, they roll the dice, they get a number, higher number almost every time, 10, 11, 12. Then they gave them a docket of some people that had already been convicted of a crime. All they had to do was assign their sentences, right? So they said, all right, they already did it, we just need to assign the sentence for the crime. What happened with the judges who rolled the dice? Why? It was higher. Why?
Because they've been rolling higher numbers, so
yeah, they're rolling a higher number dice, so they give a longer sentence. Why? It had no bearing. They just saw a higher number. It had zero bearing on the crime and the punishment that should have been assigned. That's alarming, isn't it? Okay, that's what happens. That's how easy it is to influence us. Okay, we'll get into some more. All right. I don't care, and I'll give you these slides. I don't care if you're not going to be quizzed on the names. I want you to pay attention to the ones that you are particularly susceptible to, okay, which we all are, all right? Using a system eliminates human error. A couple years ago, not very long ago, I think this was like 2 years ago, there were some pilots flying to, I think, Minneapolis. They had the plane set on autopilot, okay, commercial flight, 300 people on board. And they flew past Minneapolis with autopilot by 2 hours. It's not a good day, right? One, you're talking about misconnections. Two, you're talking about safety because of fuel. They had to turn around, go back, right? They both got fired. They were sitting up there bullshitting with autopilot on. Technically, that shouldn't have happened. Autopilot should have told them, but that's what happens. Another company set up software and said, okay, we're going to have the software invest in us. Anybody trade? Does anybody invest in stocks or anything like that? Okay. It's not hard to learn about it. You can start with $50, but it's something you should learn about at some point. But a company said, and you can set up so like you can buy if a stock gets down to a certain number. Like, okay, I got $10. When the stock drops to $10, it'll automatically buy it. And if it goes up to $50, it should automatically sell it. Okay, so a company sets this software up because they said the software can do it better than we can. It'll pay attention. We'll set triggers. It'll buy and sell what we want. They set it up, okay, and I think it was 36 hours. It traded away $500 million and almost bankrupted the company. Not good, okay? Automation is not necessarily always better. If anybody's seen the movie Moneyball, which is actually getting kind of old now, it has to do with baseball scouting and how you look at it and different. If we only take the numbers in baseball scouting, we don't always get the best players, okay? Or vice versa, right? The numbers don't tell the whole story. Availability. We give more credence to information we are already aware of, even if it's in our subconscious. Right? This is particularly true if it's dramatic or emotionally charged, which is what the 24-hour news cycle means. What this does is take what you already know and play on it. Okay? You're more likely to believe something if you know a little bit about it, if you've heard of it. If you never heard of it and somebody says something, what do you think? You're like, full of shit, right? You know what you're talking about. Okay? It's because you never heard of it. If you've heard of it, you're like, oh, maybe I believe you. Right? Which is why Fox and CNN just feed you the same shit, different sides. Okay? And if you're conservative, watch CNN. If you're liberal, watch Fox News. Bet you won't make it 10 minutes without screaming at television. Okay? You just start shaking, getting mad, right? This is what happens. It's real dumb, but that's what happens. Okay? Bandwagon. We're more likely to believe something to be true if others around us believe it to be true. Conversely, we believe something not to be true if the group doesn't believe it. If you guys are like, yep, I believe that to be true, then you're more likely to go along with it. If you guys are like, nope, don't believe it, then you won't go along with it. We literally go along with the group. Okay? Anybody heard of groupthink? Do you have any ag business majors in here? You never heard of groupthink? I have seniors in my ag business class who've never heard of groupthink, and we're letting you down. Okay, this is important. Anyone should know what this is. Anybody who's going to have a job should know what groupthink is. Okay, this is a mode of thinking that people engage with and they're deeply involved in a cohesive group. When the members are striving for unanimity, override their motivation to realistically appraise. Okay, it's a lot of words. You ever been on a group project, working in a group project, and you guys come up with a plan and you start on the plan. You're like, oh, this is going good, and halfway through, you're like, this is a terrible idea. This is a shitty group project. We're not doing well. Been in that situation? What do you do about it?
Try to offer other suggestions.
You do? Sometimes. Why not all the time?
Because, like, what if they get mad?
Yeah, exactly. What does the group think? Speak up! You're screwing up! Okay? Don't be afraid to say something. We will absolutely go along with the group. You guys are all about to be the new people at work, right? If you get a new job, maybe you've interned there and that's great. But if you're the new person at work, and you hear a project in a group, and you're like, not a good idea, say something, okay? You can actually speak up. This makes it hard for organizations to question their own assumptions and leads to irrational decisions. Not kidding, I had a friend of mine, he's an engineer, smart dude, but had an internship with the equivalent of TxDOT. They were building a road that they were supposed to make safer, okay? Straightening it out, less curves, blah, 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 okay? He checks the math. He's like, hey, you guys know you're building this road wrong? He's a junior in college, interning. You're building this road wrong. Goes to his boss. Building the road wrong. No, we're not. This is like hundreds of millions of dollar project. You're building the road wrong. No, we're not. You're just an intern. You don't know what you're talking about. He's like, it's math. It's black and white. It's either right or wrong. Okay? And I'm telling you, you're building it wrong. His boss doesn't believe him. He goes to his boss's boss. He's like, hey, red flag, building the road wrong. The boss's boss is like, holy shit, we are building the road wrong. He was absolutely correct. Right? And then got real mad at the boss that he told. He's like, hey, why didn't you listen to your intern? It's just math. Could have figured this out. Right? Don't be afraid to say something. Okay? When the group's going along with something and you realize that maybe it's not a good idea. Base rate fallacy. Okay. Anybody even shopping on Amazon? You're gonna buy something on Amazon? There's 5,000 reviews. It's got 4.5 stars. Good product, right? I'm good with this, right? You'll find the one negative review, be like, oh, I don't need it. Right? Ah, it's a piece of shit. 5,000 people said it's good. You find one, you're like, no, just because you don't want to spend the money or whatever the reason is, you'll find that one piece of data, all right, and go against it. Chrysler used to make a car, and they evaluated how often cars had to be fixed, so how often it broke and you had to replace it. Well, they focused on fixing that so it had to be fixed less often to make a better car. Did that make a car better? No, it just made a piece of shit not break quite as often. They didn't make a better car, they just repaired things that broke often, all right? So we tend to, sometimes we look at the wrong data to justify what we want. Clustering illusion. You ever been looking at clouds? You're like, oh, it's an alligator. No, it's not, it's a cloud, right? We see patterns that aren't really there, right? And this can be a threat to entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are often like, I'm gonna make it, I'll find the pattern. And it's really hard to be successful as an entrepreneur. So this one can be dangerous because you'll look for patterns that just aren't there, right? Confirmation bias. Again, similar to Fox and CNN, all right? This is often unconscious act of referencing only those perspectives that fuel our pre-existing views, while ignoring or dismissing others, no matter how valid. First day of class, I mentioned, you ever been arguing with somebody? You get an argument, somebody makes a really good point. You don't be like, oh, Skylar, that's a great point, thank you. Maybe I will reconsider my perspective. No, you just say stupid shit, right? Or you get mad at them. Okay? It's okay. Every one of you can teach me something. Every single one of you has something to teach me. Everybody knows something you don't. All right. This is what makes political views and opinions so challenging. Okay. This is why new companies can succeed at beating well-established older companies. For Fortune 100 companies, the top 100 companies in this country, you know how long they stay in the top 100 on average? Any guesses? Wild guess.
6 months.
Huh?
6 months.
A little longer, but it's not forever.
3 or 4 years.
It's about 30. This is like your Coca-Cola, your IBMs, your Fords. All right, now they'll stay, but it ebbs and flows a lot. Okay, some of them will fall apart, different reasons. NutraSweet's gonna kill everybody. Coke will take a hit. Actually, that happened with anybody like soccer? Ronaldo. He was sitting there at a press conference, and there's Coca-Cola, right? Because it's a sponsor on the podium, and he moved it and said, "Don't drink this, drink water." And their stock took a serious hit the next day, just because of that. Okay. This is also why new small companies can build up and become great, right? One of the answers that I hate is we've always done it that way. If you go work for a company, right, and you're like, why are we doing it this way? Because you're naturally curious, you don't understand. And they finally, it's like your parents, you're bugging your parents when you're little, you just ask them and they just want you to shut up, okay? So just, we've always done it that way. That's a terrible answer. That means they don't know, all right? So find a solution and make it better and get a pay raise. Be like, Dr. Payne told me, so smart. Curse of knowledge. I know, we're all blessed with how smart we are, okay? Once you truly understand something, it's hard to remember that you didn't know that. Not many years ago, none of you knew how to tie your shoes, right? Now you do it without even thinking about it. Case in point, you ever been studying with somebody, right? and you're trying to explain something, or they're explaining it to you, and they don't get it, or you don't get it, which is more often the case with me, I don't understand. You can't fathom that they don't get it because you've learned it, right? And until you've actually learned it, right, you don't get it. But once you learn it, you're like, everybody knows this, which is simply not the case. Okay, here's how this plays out at work. Plasma TVs and LCD TVs came out at the same time. Which one's better? It's 50-50, I don't care, pick one. Plasma's a better TV. Which one sold more? LCD. Why? About the same, really, when they came out. Okay? When you go to Walmart or Best Buy or whatever to buy a TV, is it usually bright in the store? When you're home watching a movie, do you have all the lights on? No, you have it darker, right? So it looks good. In the store, LCD showed better. It looked better, right? In brightly lit stores. That's not how we watch TV or movies. It's usually darker, right? The engineers for plasma made a better TV. The marketing folks for LCD were like, money, keep the bright lights on, right? Now, actually, if you go into Best Buys and there's a wall, I don't know if people even go in stores anymore, okay? But if you go in a store in the back wall, there's TVs, the lights are actually dimmer now. Like Best Buy changed it, okay, because of that. Right? Hindsight bias is similar to the curse of knowledge. Once we have that information, it seems obvious. I should have seen it coming. You ever say that to yourself? I should have known. No! You had no idea that was going to happen. Okay? We don't know. We just think we should have known. It doesn't work that way. Okay? Anybody play baseball or softball in here? What position?
Third and catcher.
Catcher. Okay, perfect. If you're pitcher, thank you for being a good example. Sometimes this doesn't work and everybody just stares at me and it's awkward. Okay, if your pitcher throws a ball, what do you do with your glove when you catch the ball?
Frame.
Frame it. What to do what?
So look like a strike.
To make it look like a strike. Why? So the umpire will call a strike, right? Even though it's a ball. Okay, the framing effect is we take different conclusions from the same information depending on how it was presented. Okay? So, if a fan from the other team sees that you framed it and the umpire calls a strike, they holler and they're like, it was a ball. Blind ass ref, umpire, right? Okay? And you're like, hell yeah, I got away with one. Okay? And then humans make mistakes and all goes to hell. Okay? Advertisers and political spin doctors will absolutely use this to their advantage. Now, let's say you're new at your company, all right? And they tell you, Skylar, they tell Skylar, hey, go evaluate, we're thinking about buying this company. Go evaluate it. So Skylar goes and does all her homework and figures out this company. Here's what they're good at, here's what they're not good at. If Skylar comes back, you guys are CEOs, you run the companies now. Skylar comes back and she says, here's all the awesome things about this company. You're more likely to buy it. If she comes back and says, here's all the bad things about this company, and only presents it that way, you're likely not to do it. It's simply dependent on how the information was presented, even if it's the same information. Okay? Xerox. Anybody know what Xerox does? What they make? Guesses? Who's heard of Xerox? Holy shit. What do they make? What do they make? You know? Copiers and printers. Okay? They used to be like the number one company in the world for copiers and printers. They made almost everything to make your modern computer or laptop back in the day. Right? They made all the technology. They could have been Apple, right? Or IBM or whoever, okay? But they didn't see themselves as a computer company. They saw themselves as a copying and printing company, right? Simply because they didn't view themselves that way, right? But basically made everything that could have been that way. Any degenerate gamblers like myself? Okay, good, all right. Future probabilities are based on past events. Let's say, who's Sam's biggest rival in football? SFA? Okay. Let's say Sam is going to play SFA on Saturday, right? And Sam has won 5 out of the last 6 games against SFA. Does that mean they're going to win Saturday? No. Why not? Huh?
Shit happens.
Shit happens?
Yeah.
Well,
Players,
yeah,
coaches.
injuries, players turnover, coaches leave. Does any previous game have anything to do with today? No, none. I love college game day. I watch a lot of college football, and they will talk about it all the time. Alabama's beat A&M 9 out of the last 10 years. Did it matter this year? No. And then we all got drunk and partied. Okay? It's a good time. All right? If you flip a coin, it's 50-50. Actually, if a robot does it, it's 50-50. If a person does it, you will influence it. It'll be 51-49. Like, say Colton's, I don't like Colton, and I flip it and he calls heads. If I see it, I may influence it. Okay? You ever flipped a coin and been shocked? Heads? Holy shit. Never saw it coming. That's why I don't understand gender reveal parties. You're having a boy or a girl. It's one or the other. If you have a lizard, I'll be impressed. Okay? But you're having one or the other. You're going to have a boy or a girl. All right. So, at a roulette table, roulette is the game where they spin the ball on the wheel and you bet on a number. Okay? And if it hits that number, you can bet red or black, or you can bet odd or even, and the bets vary. The more specific you are, the more it pays out. So if you pick the right number, it pays out, I think, like 30-1. Okay? So this is a true story at a roulette table. They're spinning a wheel, and it lands on like red 16. Okay? This ball and the wheel. Spin the wheel, drop the ball. It hits on red 16 again. Right? Third time, red 16 again. The odds of this are incredibly low. Okay? So everyone's piling around the roulette table. How are people betting? Huh? Red 16? Who says not red 16? Why? Why not?
Because the odds of it happening again.
Because there's no way it's going to happen again, right? It honestly hits like 9 or 10 times in a row. Some ungodly number that never should have happened. Statistically, it shouldn't. But if you bet red 16, you're winning a ton. Because it just keeps hitting. Did the prior spins matter? No. It's just chance. Complete chance. Okay? So, some journalists who cover financial investing, like, I bet blindfolded monkeys can do just as well as the experts, right? And so they're going to do a study. The problem is, if you go to grad school and you do research, you'll learn this. If you work with animals, it's really hard to get approval to blindfold monkeys and then have them throw darts. Can't do that. Okay, so they did themselves, all right? They took themselves and they put stocks up against the wall. They blindfolded themselves. They threw darts and picked the stock and invested that way, hypothetically. Say we'll take $1,000, we'll put it in this stock. How did they do compared to investors, professional investors? Almost as well. Almost as well. Okay, it's extremely hard to be awesome at investing all the time. Okay. Given a choice, we'd rather avoid a loss than reap a reward. Has anybody heard of Polaroid? What's Polaroid? Anybody know? Yeah, they make cameras and stuff, but they mostly made film. That was the number one thing that they made. Have you guys even seen film? Nice, you can tell your kids. I saw film one day. Okay, and film canisters. That's what everybody used to keep their drugs in. Okay, I don't know what kids do anymore. Okay. So Polaroid made digital cameras and all this stuff, and they're doing fine. And digital cameras come along, and they're like, nah, we're gonna keep doing what we're doing because we make all our money in film. Does anybody buy film anymore? Yeah, very few specialty photographers if you really want to. But even then, most of them go digital now. Okay, it's so easier. So much easier. How about Blockbuster? Why did Blockbuster go out of business? Why? They could have bought Netflix 2 different times. Why didn't they? Huh? Kinda. But why? They didn't think what? There was part of it, but where did Blockbuster make most of their money? Do you guys know?
DCR.
Say it again?
DCR.
No, somebody said it. What'd you say?
I'd say, yeah.
Oh, somebody said late fees? I swear I heard it.
Late fees.
Nice. Okay, late fees. If you rented from Blockbuster and you forgot to take it back by a certain amount of time, they charged you. It was 60% of their revenue, over half. Netflix came along and said, we can't stream yet. I have students that don't believe me, okay? They used to mail everything out. Yeah, they mailed you your DVDs. Some students are like, no, they didn't. Yeah, that's how it started, okay? But they knew we would go digital eventually. But your TVs didn't have apps. Streaming at home wasn't fast enough. It was getting there. They could see it coming. But it wasn't there yet. They go to Blockbuster. They're like, we have a laptop open? That's all right. Netflix is valued at billions of dollars right now. Okay, how many Blockbusters are left? Just one. Okay, and it actually closed for a while in the pandemic. And now on Netflix, there's a documentary about Blockbuster, right? Which is the only way you can watch it. All right. So Netflix goes to Blockbuster, and they said, you can buy us for $10 million. Ultimately, we'll help you go digitally. We need you in your stores for now. There were like 3,000 Blockbusters in this country. They said, we need your stores for now, okay, but ultimately, everything's going to go digital, and you won't have storefronts anymore. I said, nah, we're good. Netflix comes back a little while later. You can buy us for $50 million. And Blockbuster had it. They had the money. That wasn't the issue. They said, you can buy us for $50 million. Same thing. We're going digital. We'll bring you along, right? But we need your help because we still need the storefronts, okay? Blockbuster, nah, we're good. Because they didn't want to lose their late fees. If they mailed you Batman Begins from Netflix, you could have it until the sequel came out, right? They didn't give a shit. After like a year or two, they'd be like, hey, you still have it? They didn't care. There were no late fees, okay? Blockbuster didn't want to lose the late fees. Bless you. COVID? That's why they went away, okay? Negativity bias. Can you think of stupid shit you did? You ever lay in bed 3 in the morning? You said, I can't believe I said that. It's 8th grade. She's gone, bro. She ain't coming back. All right, we recall unpleasant memories more vividly than positive ones. We tend to overweight bad experiences, sometimes giving more credence than they deserve. Okay, now this can help you from repeating mistakes, but it also makes you not necessarily want to try different things. Okay, so it can lead to undervaluing a positive experience. If you actually had a good experience, you can focus on that. It can be great. Like, oh, I said the right thing. Things went well. Okay? You can enjoy that too, but we tend to focus on the negative. Normalcy bias. Why weren't there enough lifeboats on the Titanic? It's unsinkable. Where is it? Some bitch at the bottom of the ocean right now, isn't it? Okay? We have a really hard time planning for and reacting to disasters that have yet to occur. Right? It leads to underestimating the odds of a worst case scenario and minimizing potential impact. Can a hurricane hit Houston? Yeah. Are we going to stay? Yeah, we're good. Okay. We're fine with hurricanes. If it gets cold, Texans freak out. Okay. 35 degrees? Oh my God. Okay. What's funny with the hurricanes in Houston is when all those hospitals, there's a whole bunch of hospitals there and everything, all their generators were in the basement. Hurricane came and everything flooded, and they're like, oh, maybe we should put these on like the 5th floor, right? That's what happens with shit that's unexpected. COVID, which I don't really like to talk about in class because everybody's tired of it, right? There's actually, Bill Gates does a TED Talk, I think from 2016, and he's like, hey, the next thing that's really going to mess this world up is a virus. It's creepy to watch. He's dead ass accurate, okay? But, yeah, some people get real into conspiracy theory with him and saying all that, but he was right, okay? But we tend to undervalue it, right? Of like what's going to happen and how to plan. Hopefully, we've learned a lot, right? Read that first stat.
Hell yeah, man.
Is that true?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Why not?
I just know other people that say they're a great driver and they're not.
They're not. Statistically, that's an impossibility. You all can't be good, and none of you are any good. Okay? You're all texting while you're driving, which is terrible. And then when you're walking on campus, you're texting while you're walking. Nobody's looking. The fact that nobody gets run over on college campuses more often is baffling to me. Okay? Because nobody's paying any attention. I saw a girl take a selfie while she was driving the other day. Like, turn her head and smile. Okay? I almost lost it. Right? If I didn't love my truck, I'd have just ran into her. Okay? Entrepreneurs are all going to make it, despite the small business going 5 years. If you're optimistic, you think it's going to work out, okay? Not always a bad thing, all right? Just know the value of it. If you're pessimistic, nothing's going to work out, okay? There's a comedian who's from New York. Most comedians are manic depressive, which is really interesting. A lot of them have depression and all that stuff, which is fascinating. I love comedians, all right? There's a comedian who's from New York, and he's kind of messed up, right? And he's like talking to somebody who's optimistic. He's like, oh, maybe something good will happen. He's like, why would anything good ever happen? Okay, and that's how he goes through. My wife thinks that. My wife's like, I predicted COVID. No, you didn't. She's like, well, I knew something bad was going to happen. She always thinks bad things are going to happen. Okay, whereas I'm like, nah, it'll work out. Okay, You can balance each other out. You can't believe how different somebody can be that you married. It's very strange. Okay? In either case, be aware that emotions make thinking irrational. If you're optimistic or pessimistic. Okay? Ostrich effect. We don't like bad news. In fact, we will go to great lengths to ignore data that challenges our assumptions. Okay? Again, you've seen it all play out with COVID. Okay? Everybody loves a winner. What if they just got lucky? We flipped a coin. It's a good football weekend. We rarely question a successful plan for someone with a track record of success. Okay? Overconfidence. Success leads us to place too much faith in our own expertise. Right? Forecasting experiment. This is true in another study. All right? They took all these amateurs, and it was like 500 different categories. What's the price of gold going to do? How many hurricanes are we going to have this season? What's real estate going to do? All these different things. What's enrollment at SAM going to do? All these different things, right? They took all these categories, and they took amateurs, yourselves who don't know anything about the subject, and we put you against experts. How did you guys do against the experts? Better or worse? Worse?
Worse, but not far off.
Worse? Who says better? It's a trick question. Better? Why?
I don't know, because you're not thinking about it too much. Like, you just kind of.
Yes.
It's better, but it's because you actually don't know. And what do you do if you don't know? You try to, I hope you try to find out. Right? You would then educate yourselves. Well, how do I predict hurricanes? What do I know about the price of gold? The amateurs went and sought out information. The experts were like, I got it figured out. No, you don't, bro. Okay, you're not perfect. None of us are. The amateurs actually did better because they went and sought out additional information. Okay? This may be the only one you remember the name of. The Abilene paradox. Anybody been to Abilene? From there?
I got like
Okay, all right. Abilene. Anybody been there in the summer? It's hot as balls, and it's an ugly place. Okay, no disrespect to Abilene. All right, not a great place. This family is going to take a summer vacation in Texas. Goes to Abilene. Drives to Abilene. Family in the car. Summer in Texas. They get back, and they're like, "That was awful. I did not want to go." Nobody said that beforehand. Somebody threw it out. Hey, should we go to Abilene? Okay. Literally did not want to go against their own beliefs for fear of disrupting the group. They thought the first person who said it wanted to go, and therefore the whole family wanted to go. Nobody wanted to go. Nobody wants to go to Abilene in the middle of summer for vacation. Okay? We'll say yes when we really mean no. I will prove it. Guys, you ever been talking to a girl and she has lipstick on her teeth? Can you say anything, Victor?
I mean, like, you know, I usually do, but it's like, it's very, like, subtle. Like, I don't, like, embarrass them.
Do you say no? You don't say anything?
No,
Why not?
because then they're gonna look at you different. They'll be like,
What happens when you go in the bathroom and you see lipstick on your teeth? You're like, God damn it, why didn't you tell me? I just talked to him for 10 minutes. Stupid, right? And we got booger hanging, something in their teeth. You don't say anything? Master, great, right? You just cover everything up, right? Say something, but we won't. We will not. And then you go in the mirror and you're like, God, I have booger in my face the whole time. And just talking to the girl for 10 minutes. Now I look like an idiot. Okay? We won't say anything, all right? The point of this, recognize a once promising plan is no longer going to work. Again, this is the group project. If it's starting to derail and go poorly, say something. All right? It's the Abilene paradox. Well, I like this meme.
that shot into the next county.
The Dunning-Kruger effect. Hopefully you'll hear about this at some point in your lives. Now you'll know what it is. All right? Individuals with a low level of knowledge will often mistake their own knowledge as greater than it is. People who don't know a lot will think they know a lot about it. Conversely, those who are actually experts, if you actually know a lot about something, you'll think you don't know very much. Okay? This plays out all the time. You ever hear somebody going off about something? They're just talking away. And you're like, this fool doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. Okay? They don't, right? But they assume that they do. This is super common in the workforce. Okay? Okay. If you take a test and it goes poorly, whose fault is it?
The professors always.
Professors, always, right? Yeah. Whose fault is it? Yours. It's 100% your fault. Okay. Now, yeah, some professors are not great, or sometimes you don't get everything you needed for success. I get it, that happens. But could you have studied more? Could you have worked harder? Sure. Right? Okay. We attribute success and positive outcomes to our own doing, right? We think it's great. And when things go poorly, we blame others. This is what you should be aware of in managers and supervisors. I like sports, right? You see this in coaches. A good coach, after a win, will give the players credit. After a loss, they will take the blame. I didn't set them up for success. I didn't put them in the right position to win. Okay? Same shit plays out at work, right? People feel threatened. It's very strange and it's lame, all right? If you work for somebody, you should help them and they should help you, right? If you make them better, then they should help you. But it doesn't happen a lot of times. A lot of times, if you look like the young up-and-comer and you're the superstar, they will feel threatened by you. But be aware of it. Okay? It happens all the time in the workforce. Hate to tell you, right? But just be aware of it. We tend to prefer things as they already are, right? That can have a big impact on our choices. Right? How many of you ever make a to-do list? You got like 15 things on there, right? And do you do any of them during the day? Nah. Right, dude, I'm just gonna go take a nap. Okay, I have 15 things to do. I think I'll just go to sleep, and maybe they'll take care of themselves. Right, or you get 1 or 2 done. Right, and then you're like, awesome, time to take a nap. All right, good for you. Okay, it's better than doing nothing. All right, if there's too many choices, people won't choose at all. Right, we won't do anything. Okay, which can really lead to repeating mistakes. Okay, who wants $300 today? $300 today. If you wait until the end of the semester, I'll give you 1,000. Which one are you taking? You gonna wait? Who's taking the 300?
Me, I'm impatient as hell.
I'm buying beer tonight, right? I gotta pay rent today, all right? Most of the time we will do that. Most of the time we'll take the short term, all right, and not the long term, right? Despite it being better if we waited. I've had students, I'll take that money and invest it. Yeah, you're going to turn 300 into 1,000 in a few months. No, you're not. Bitcoin. Nope, not going to happen. Okay? Now, this is not just money. This can be your time, political capital, and finite resources. Okay? It leads to irrational escalation. Anybody bought a car on their own yet? I mean, I haven't gone and bought a car. How'd it go? How was the experience?
I guess it was alright.
It was okay?
I mean, I got a call.
But do you feel like you got ripped off, or you feel like you did okay?
Yeah.
You got ripped
My
off?
interest is really, really high.
Okay. Jeremiah, how about you? Was it good? Okay. When you go to buy something, your first house, okay, whatever it is, car, whatever, all right, you're going to get in and you're going to love it. You're like, oh my God, I'm driving a piece of shit. This is the best thing that's ever happened. All right, I love my dream car, my dream truck, whatever it is. Pick your favorite thing, okay? You're going to get in there and you're going to love it. And then they're going to be like, oh, well, it's actually, here's the additional fees that we have. And this is true. I just went through this multiple times in the last couple of years because somebody hit my dream truck. Kid in A&M ran my red light, totaled my dream truck, okay? It was a real pain in the ass to find a new one during this economy and everything. All right. And no joke, I found a car in Dallas. It was like the exact same as mine. I didn't need to go see it. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And they added a $1,500 fee, service fee. It's fake. You can find which fees are real or not. All right, this happened multiple times. I had another one. He said, there's a diesel fee. I'm like, bro, there's no such thing as a diesel fee on a regular pickup. Like, you need to buy like a Mack truck for that to happen. I'm like, what's a diesel fee? And he's like, oh, well, it has new tires on it. First of all, unrelated. 2, tires come with the vehicle. They're included. Okay. Another dealership in Dallas added a $1,500 service fee. It's a fake fee. I was giving full asking price. I'm like, no, it's a fake fee. Take it off or I'm out. Wouldn't do it. I don't drop this very often. I was like, this is how you treat a veteran? Okay. Okay. But they know you want the car. They know that you will do anything to get that car. And you're like, I don't care, I want the car. Not minding what it does to your insurance. Figured that out later, right? Shit, my insurance went up. Okay. Same thing, a house, whatever. You will fall in love with something. And people will take advantage of you to try and get more money. Be aware of it. Be willing to walk away. It's just a thing. You can find another one. Okay? Most people can't do that. Temporal discounting. Group of biases connected to our desire for instant gratification. Okay, this is the same thing as the $300 versus the $1,000. Okay? We will downplay future negative consequences of decisions that have positive consequences right now. Again, just not thinking about the long term. Does this bother anyone?
Hell yes.
Why?
Because it's supposed to be top.
Our desire for conformity is so powerful it can distort our view of reality at the most basic level. Same thing, another study. Take a group of y'all, put you in a room, I'm going to show you some cards. On the cards are 3 lines. One line is distinctively longer than the other 2 lines. Okay? They're like A, B, and C. Line B is longer. You know it, you saw it. In the study, they're about to ask you which line is longer. In the study, there are placed actors who say lines A or C are longer than B. What do you do? Yeah, why? Yeah. Yeah, you just be like, well, maybe I was wrong. Did I not see the right line? They must know what they're talking about. Okay? This is why you don't cheat off people in tests. They didn't study either. Okay? You know which one was right. But if the group doesn't, you will be too afraid to say something, or you won't disrupt the group. Right? Don't be afraid to do that. Right? Stand strong. You can be right. It's okay. Right? The weirdest part of all that is that it's strangers. Right? We're more likely to go along with strangers than our friend. Our good friend, screw you. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Strangers, I don't want to offend you. What the hell is that about? That's the dumbest shit ever, right? Okay? Okay. There's a whole bunch of biases that we are all guilty of. What the hell does that have to do with writing? Okay? Multiple things. Be aware of it. You'll look at data. There was some study that was in like 5 or 6 student papers about organic food or something like that, because it was like the one study that confirmed what they wanted about organic, right? And it was kind of a shady study. And I don't remember if it was for or against. But like all these students kept citing one line out of the same study, which is exactly what the media will do. They'll take one line out of a big study and then make that the story, whether that's really what the study was about or not. Okay? Be aware of your own biases. Right? I want you to write about topics that you know about or want to learn about. You're going to have your own biases. Be aware of them. Recognize that you might read something that disagrees with what you think, and it might be right, and it's okay. You can even be like, holy shit, maybe I changed my mind, right? It's okay. So, this is your first assignment, writing assignment for the week, for the course, is a discussion post, not a paper yet, okay? Due Friday before midnight, all right? Relatively easy and straightforward, all right? But please give me good effort, writing complete sentences and all that good stuff. What you're gonna do is read an academic writing example. It's graduate level work. Some of you will find it interesting, some of you will think it's boring. That's okay, I don't really care. I want you to look at how it's written, right? And I want you to compare it to your own writing. Look at past papers that you've written, okay? And I want you to evaluate the differences. Okay, what do you notice about it? So we'll go read, and it's actually only half the paper, so I spared you. All right, it's only half of the paper. It does have the sources in there, so you can see APA style. It's a well-edited, well-written academic paper. Right, yours won't be this long, and this is only part of it. Notice the writing format and style. Your writing should start looking like this writing for this semester. Okay, which is why I'm showing it to you, not just to bore you and make you read something. Notice the author's voice, how points are supported with cited evidence. Right? It's not just opinion. Statements made in the paper are supported with unbiased, hopefully, you can evaluate, from credible sources, not Wikipedia. Right? The tone is the same. For your first discussion post, will you tell me what you noticed, what was good, were there problems with it, and how does it compare to your writing style? Is it similar or different? Again, look at some from the past. Good or bad, I don't care. Take some of your papers from previous semesters. Did you guys know, and I think I don't know if it's only if you use Safe Assign, but I think you guys can actually tell how long a professor's looked at your paper in Blackboard, right? you can actually tell like how long they looked at your assignment, I think, which is great. Because some of you write like a 5-page paper and they looked at it for 15 seconds, gave you a grade. It's really entertaining. Okay. Good. Oh yeah, man, take a look at the references page. Right? Writing complete sentences. This is not just bullet points. That's the assignment for this week. Questions about it? Yes, ma'am. Just answer all those questions. I don't really care about length. I care that you're thorough. Explain what you're thinking. Explain what you notice. Make sure you do all of these parts. Compare it to how you write your papers. Just tell me the differences that you notice. Okay? And be thorough. Other questions? Sure.
Oh, are all of the notes on Blackboard, like that you get through your PowerPoint?
The what?
Are your PowerPoints on Blackboard?
I will post it. I don't think I put this one on there, but I will post it. And next week we'll get in a little more of the what I reviewed last week of the how to write an essay. I have a Word doc that I will give you. I would tell you to keep and download it and save it forever. And we'll go over that a little bit more on Monday. Because next week is an actual paper. Okay, so we start with a discussion post. All right, we'll start having assignments due every Friday for a while. Right? Don't fall behind. Promise me. Promise yourselves. Don't fall behind. Go. If you do, I can help you. Just don't start off that way. Go. Awesome. Go be great. Have a wonderful week.